what is infrastructure as a code? Okay, so as you guys could have heard about this bit, right? So infrastructure as a code. Okay, so in olden days, people used to manually do the changes. Any changes is required, right? So people used to do it manually, and we used to record it in a Microsoft Word document, a step by step bit. We used to call it as a release notes and all. And the same thing, the same activity, if we have a dev, test, and pre-prod and production environment, everywhere that using that release notes, we used to follow that bit. Okay, and it used to take the similar amount of a time, if whatever, if not more than that, because in the higher we go, right? So we will be having a many number of servers compared to the lower dev environment. Okay, so that is the reason it used to take more time in order to do a release process itself. So that is the reason, due to evolving of agile process and all, right? So a smaller iteration, very frequently we started following it up. Okay, as part of that one, our infrastructure as a code also came into picture. Okay, so how exactly we can automate our stuff, right? So that our life will be a bit easier and quicker, and whatever changes we are doing it, right, it is there is no human errors as such. Yeah, so in order to that is one of the topic, right? So in order to automate it, how you can automate it? So our infra should be as a code. Okay, there, that's the reason when it comes up our cloud, right, as well as the other DevOps tool chain has evolved, right? So we started whatever the projects we are using it, what all the DevOps tool we are using it, we started one by one, started doing it in a code, automating it via code. Okay, so since it was a code, right, so we can do a version control, meaning 1 month back what exactly it was made changes, who exactly has made changes, that also we can track it. Okay, so infrastructure as a code, right, it gave us a lots of benefit, because you can repeat and run the same code on different environment very quickly, because if you have built it once, right, it is bit easy for you to run it again. It won't take more time. Okay, you can trace the changes, who made it, when he has made it, those all the things you can do it. Okay, so implementation was fast. Okay, there is no human error. A person can forget. There is no chance of people can forget the things, right? If we are following a release document, yeah, there can be a chances of a human error. But in case of automation, it cannot miss the things, right? So example of IaC tool, you could have heard about the number one tool is IaC. Infrastructure provisioning tool is a Terraform. Okay, Terraform, and if you're stuck with the AWS, it is a AWS specific infrastructure as a code tool. It is called as a cloud formation, whereas Azure has its own flavor called as a Azure Resource Manager. In short, we call it as a ARM. Okay, these are all the tools in order to provision the resources in respective cloud. Okay, using Terraform, right, you can do other thing as well. It won't be, you won't be provisioning only the cloud resources. You can do a lot of the other things as well using Terraform. Okay, but majorly it was popular for the cloud provisioning of cloud resources. Okay, so there are few of the predecessors were there for infrastructure as a code: Puppet 2005, Chef 2009, and Ansible as a configuration management tool. It was released on 2012. Okay, whereas Terraform, it's a late entrant, but it is the latest technology. Okay, it was from 2014 it exists. Okay, so these are all the main two tools we try to use, Ansible and Terraform, in order to do our infrastructure as a code, in order to provision as well as a configuration management tool. Okay, so here if you could see, this is an example stack on a example stack on Azure. Okay, so we are installing a virtual machine. So if you wanted to install a virtual machine, right, so what we require, you require a subnet, NSG, virtual network, resource group. It is a public IP. If it is required, you require a public IP in order to interact with the over the internet. Okay, so if I take an example of any blogging website, right, let us take an example of a WordPress site. So it has a WordPress application as well as a database, MySQL data, any database, right? So in order to bring up your own WordPress site, in order to blog, right, do a technical blogging and all, right? So you require a WordPress, you need to install a WordPress site and plus a database. Okay. So if I take this kind of example, right, in this one, if you see what we require a virtual machine where we host our where we install our WordPress site. Okay. So for that reason, I mean, we need to provision all these resources. Okay. So using Terraform, what we do is we provision all these resources. Okay. Cloud resources, we used to and we use Terraform in order to provision these many cloud resources. Okay. So if we are install after the installation, right, after the provision of it, so we wanted to install a WordPress site and install the MySQL database on this particular virtual machine. Okay. In that case, what we need to do is once Terraform has done the work, as a next step, we need to do a configuration management. In this example, it's a installation, right? Those installation we need to do it. Okay. So that usually a task it is done by a configuration management tool such as Ansible. Okay. So in order to install WordPress site, after that a database, and in order to make any configuration changes, we use Ansible. Okay. So what is Terraform? It is an infrastructure provisioning tool. It is developed by a HashiCorp. Okay, HashiCorp has its own main products called as a Packer, HashiCorp Vault, Vagrant, and a console. Okay, so these are all the main products of HashiCorp. Okay, so though it was if initial release was happened on 2014, in order to become 1.0 itself, it went to the 1.0 in June 2021. Okay, literally took a seven years kind of a thing, right, in order to become a one dot release candidate. Okay, so I'll give a couple of example of these packers where exactly it will be used. Okay, these products of HashiCorp. So Packer, so the example which I took, right, the WordPress site. So you are building you have your own company which builds a blogging website for all the customers. So think that some 50 people came, 50 different people came and they wanted their own blog site. So in that example, so you can't do the same build and deployment or configuration and management each time, right? So instead of that, what you do is using Packer, you create a image, virtual machine image, which has inbuilt WordPress site installed or configured, plus MySQL database has been already installed. Okay, that image you bake it using Packer. Okay, and during a installation during a provision of a virtual machine, at that time you use the new baked image. Okay, so that is the advantage of our Packer. It helps us to bake a image with the software bundled inside that. If I take an example, right, nowadays all the smartphone or a laptop, right, if you buy a smartphone or a laptop, there will be a pre-installed software will be present, right? Similarly, the Packer does the same thing. Okay, it pre-builds the image with the required software. Okay, using Packer you can do that. So HashiCorp Vault, it is basically a kind of you can think of it as a key vault. Okay, so it stores a secret, it stores a certificate. You can do a key as well. You can automatically make a HashiCorp Vault as an intermediary CA certificate. Okay, you can sign your organization. All the certificate will be handled by HashiCorp Vault. There are many features are there. Okay, features of HashiCorp Vault. So normally in the big companies, right? So their secrets, right? It will be scattered all across the different clouds, as well as on-prem data center and all those stuffs, right? So HashiCorp Vault makes with the help of HashiCorp enterprise license, what enterprise software, what you could do is you can keep you can keep all your secret at a one place. That is the reason we try to use HashiCorp Vault. Okay, so the Vagrant and the console, it is a little bit less used. Okay, nowadays, probably some 5 years back, in order to build a development machine and all, right, we used to build a Vagrant box, and that Vagrant box we used to pass it on to if a new team member joins your particular team, right, in order to make sure that all the software is pre-installed in a virtual box, right. So we used to use Vagrant. Nowadays, a little bit rarely people try to use it, but yeah, earlier people used to use it. Okay, console is a distributed storage bed. Okay, wherever you have a requirement of a distributed system, a data storage system, we try to use console. Okay, one second. So what are the benefits of Terraform? So you can build the environment from the scratch. Okay, modify with the ease. There is if there is a small changes is required, you can make easily. Big changes you can do it. Okay, it is version controlled. Okay, you can safely provision your clusters. Okay, as well it is a bit of a security point of view, it is very good. Yeah, so easily if I took an example of here, one second. Sorry guys. So if you see here in the example of cloud formation or ARM template, right, so think that these are all tied up with that respective cloud, right? Whereas Terraform, if you know Terraform, you can provision resources in AWS. One second, guys. Sorry, guys. Today I have a bit of a tough. Okay, using Terraform, right? So you can provision a AWS resource as well as Azure resource, as well as you can provision a OCI as well as a different cloud as well, GCP as well. Okay, but if you are stick to cloud formation or ARM template, it is bit difficult, right? So if you ask your cloud formation automation guy or a DevOps guy to work on Azure, it is bit difficult for him because he has to learn ARM templates, and then only if a native IaC tool is required, then it is bit difficult. Here there will be a learning curve. Whereas Terraform, if you know the things in the Terraform how it works, so it is easily uh, even AWS DevOps engineer can provision a Azure resources as well. Okay, with a little bit of a knowledge. Okay, so that is the reason if you know the Terraform, right, you can become a multi-cloud expert. Okay, because it's one of the tool required for a multi-cloud expert. Okay. So why Terraform is popular, right? So it is free to use. HashiCorp won't charge a single penny, yeah, and it's a declarative language. Okay, so learning curve is very short. Okay, so anyone, if you can Google it out, you should be able to learn the Terraform easily. Okay, that much easy it is. Okay, once you learn it, you can provision the infrastructure in the other cloud provider. There will be a limited minimal effort is required, but you should be able to get away with that one with a little bit learning bit. Okay, syntax is it because you can become a multi-cloud expert is because the syntax is same, the flow is same. Okay, you should be able to manage it. Okay, so you can create an immutable infrastructure, meaning if someone deletes it off also, right, you can run your Terraform commands and you should be able to create the same thing. Okay, recreate the same thing, or if some resources has been deleted, that also it can be recreated. Okay, so Terraform is a agentless compared to the Puppet and the Chef tool, which obviously we will save the cost, right? These are the main reasons why Terraform has become a popular. Okay, so main of the bet. Okay, so what I will do here is in today's session we will work on the providers, okay, as well as the resources, okay, and a little bit of a Terraform state. Okay, these three things we will try to concentrate. Probably in tomorrow's session we will go to data source and the modules. Okay, but if you see here, if you ask me what is providers, so providers are, you can think of it as a gelling or a software which has been you need to mention if you are connecting to the AWS, you need to use AWS providers. Okay, so these are all the modules it has been written. Okay, so it is used to interact with your either cloud providers with or your different software SaaS providers. Okay, so it is within a one small command, you should be able to download these providers from the Terraform registry. Okay. It is a bridge between your Terraform code to the uh, other bridge between Terraform code to your cloud. Okay, if you take a cloud as a example. Okay, Terraform code, you write it. The connectivity part to the cloud, authentication authorization will be done by our providers itself. Okay, so these are all the main thing. It is you require to be using Terraform in it. You will download that, but okay. So we will go to that particular bit. Okay. So next one is a resources. Okay, resources are the most important element. So if you wanted to install whichever the resources, right? A virtual network or EC2 or a VM or VM scale set or whichever type of a resources you wanted to create, right? Those many resources are created in Terraform. Meaning, if think that you have a 600 resources in AWS, there will be 600 cloud services or cloud resources. Okay, there will be an equivalent of a code or a snippet of a Terraform resources will be available. Okay, we will add few of the bit as we go along in this particular session. Okay, so how exactly Terraform knows about the state? Okay, how exactly it will go and create it? There comes up our Terraform estate. Okay, so Terraform estate, what it does is it manages, okay, your code. It tries to make sure that whatever it is available in the cloud, right, and that and your Terraform state is in sync. Okay, Terraform, what it does is that's a single source of the truth is Terraform code and the Terraform state. So Terraform code will check with the Terraform state, and it Terraform state will be keeping a track of what exactly it is there in the cloud. Okay, so whatever you create it, right? So it will go and insert it in your Terraform state. Okay, you can think of it as a auditing bit. Okay, so everything, whatever resource you created, everything it will be there present in the Terraform state. Okay, so next bit is the main commands. Okay, Terraform init, Terraform format, plan. Okay, so Terraform init, it's basically in order to initialize, right? So whatever the folders are present in your Terraform files are present, right? So in that one, whatever you have written it, so you could have mentioned necessary providers, respective clouds, right? Those configuration you could have done it. What Terraform init does it makes sure that automatically download these providers from the Terraform registry. So that is a specifically plugins which is used to connect between your Terraform code and the actual cloud. Okay, that bit it downloads it and keeps it in your, if you are running from your laptop, it will downloads and keeps in your working directory. Okay, so Terraform format is basically kind of a linting. When I say linting, so it makes your code more readable format. Okay, think that there is a more spaces and here and there it is there. What Terraform format does is it formats your code. Okay, so next command is Terraform plan. Okay, so plan is a dry run. Okay, when I say dry run, it is nothing but it won't go and create a resources. What exactly it does is it shows you what exactly, when you run a Terraform apply, what exactly it will go and create in your cloud. Okay, that is what it shows you. It won't go and actually create it. If you run the apply, what exactly it is going to do it, that it will show you the Terraform plan. Okay, it's an execution plan. Okay, so when I say Terraform apply, it goes and creates a actual resources. Okay, so in the plan, it will show it. Okay, it is kind of a warning, I mean, information what exactly it is going to create it. Apply, it is will go and create a actual resources. Okay, so Terraform destroy. So once you have tested everything, application, all the infrastructure that has been created, testing was done. So in order to save the cost, you wanted to delete all the resources. Using Terraform destroy, what it does is it goes and deletes off all the resources, whichever we have created in the Terraform. Okay, that is what it does it. Okay, so now if you could see here, you are a DevOps engineer. Okay, so we write a infrastructure as a code. We run the Terraform plan. This is a optional bit. Okay, you need not run it. Okay, but ideally it is advisable to run this bit. Okay, and then thereafter we will use Terraform apply. Okay, using provider, which provider you are using it. So think that in our case we are we would be using Azure. Okay, Azure RM. So once you apply it using that provider, it will go and create a resource, whichever resources we have mentioned it in our Terraform code. Okay, so let us go to the uh, practice session. Okay, so you don't require GitHub account, but yeah, Terraform should be installed on your laptop, and Azure account if you have it, you should be able to uh, create this demo session. Okay, so now let us go to how exactly we can do a how exactly we can create a resources in Azure cloud. Okay, so what I will do is first what you need to say is Azure say provider for Terraform. Okay, if once you enter it, what it will do is click the first Terraform one. uh, Forget about the sponsored one, you ignore that. The first Terraform documentation, click on that. Okay, so once you click that, so there are these many options are available in order to interact with Azure provider. Okay, so what you could do here is for a this is not a production level bit. Okay, uh, you won't be coding it for a production level architecture. Okay, it is only for the hello world or demo application we will be using it. Okay, so in order to practice it. Okay, so if you see here, this is the one. Okay, automating Azure using service principal and a client secret, right? That is what we will be using it. Click on that. Okay, then thereafter what you could do is, okay, so we will I would be using IntelliJ as IDE. Okay, so let us create your project. Okay, so I'll say what is today's date. It is 10th June. Okay, create the first 10th June, whichever the folder name you wanted to create it, you can create it. Okay, I've created like this. So I will say first file what I wanted to create is the providers. Okay, the file name can be anything, but the only the extension should be .tf. That you need to remember. Okay, so once you entered it, provider.tf in IntelliJ, it will open like this. Okay, so next bit is we need to add a providers. So what I will do here is I will choose this piece of a code. Okay, paste it over here. Okay, what it is mentions here is when Terraform, we are telling that required software, required providers are Azure RM. Okay, that is what we are mentioning it over here. Okay, source is this is the one. Okay, and the version is this. But here, what we will be doing here is next part is we need to call those providers. Okay, so if you click here, when copy this provider Azure RM. Okay, in order to connect to the Azure, this bit you need to copy it. Okay, then thereafter, how Terraform knows that in which resources it has to go and connect. How exactly authentication and authorization to Azure cloud it has to happen. Okay, that is basically bit is the next one. Okay, so what we could do is we use this below itself. It has been written our client secret and these details. Either what you could do is you can copy the same thing, this bit itself, rather than the top one. Okay, I'll recopy it. So you can do this bit, copy, okay, paste it over here. Okay, so what we require here is we are telling in Terraform, for Terraform what we are telling is providers, that is a which provider we are connecting it, that is here in Azure RM, Azure Resource Manager. Okay, the same details we have given it over here, Azure RM. Okay, from where it has to be picked in. These details it will be kept it in our registry. Okay, that also I will show you. Okay, so if you see here, if you click on this, so if you see here, this is our Azure RM. Okay, that is this provider. The latest version is 3.60. In the documentation, it has given as a bit older version. I'm using the older version as is. If you want, you can use 3.6.60.0. Okay, let us use the 3.60. So I'll change it here, 3.60.0. Okay. So next bit is, this is the place where these providers has been kept. Okay, it has been a day ago, 3.60.0 it has been is the source code of this bit is here. Okay, if you click here, this is the Terraform provider for Azure RM. Okay, so where exactly here exactly how exactly communication to Azure should happen, right? This is what it decides it. These are all providers. Okay, so now coming back to the next bit, how exactly authentication to Azure cloud should happen, right? This is what is the main bit. Okay, so in order to interact with Azure cloud, right, this is what will be used. Okay, so here the client ID, okay, the tenant ID, subscription ID, how you can get it. Okay, the tenant ID, the subscription ID, in my case, okay, this is my subscription. Okay, this is my subscription ID. Okay, you can copy this subscription ID, so paste it over here. Okay, the tenant ID, if you have a Azure Active Directory, click here. Okay, the tenant ID you can see it over here. Okay, tenant ID, paste it here. Okay, so the client ID. So what you need to do is, the app connection you need to create it. So I'm not going to do it in this particular session. I have already created that that video, how exactly it can be created. If you check it out my YouTube channel, you should be able to find a one video. There is a separate Azure plus Terraform on the playlist itself. It is there. You can find it over there. Okay, click on app registration. So our interest is in the Terraform. What I will do is I will go and create a new client secret. Nothing is there. So what I will do is I will create a, I'll say 10th June. Okay, the name can be anything. Okay, so it is up to you. Okay, so I will say custom. That is today date itself. So I will give it. Okay, what I will do is once I add it, so it creates a one value over here. Okay, so this value you need to copy it as a secret. Okay, that is what it is. After this session, immediately I'm going to delete it. And you guys, you should not check in this particular key into any website or sorry, any Git repository, because someone hacks it, it will be gone. Okay, anyone can create a anyone can use these details and create their own resources inside your subscription. Okay, copy this. So the next one is the client ID. You see here, my client ID is this bit, so I'm going to use that. See this bit and save it. Okay, in this way you connect. These are all the details you provide it to your Azure RM. These are all the input to your Azure RM. Okay, what it does is it interacts with the Azure cloud and does the authentication and authorization, okay, using this particular SP, service principal. Okay, so once it has been done, so let us go to Azure resource group. Okay, so here if you see, I have dummy resource. Let me delete it off. I don't have this is a plain, nothing is there. Okay, this particular resource group, just deleting it off, the last one. If you could see, nothing is there, right? So now as a next step, what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a let us go and create a Azure resource group. Let us create a one of the main basic things in the Azure, that is Azure resource group. It's a kind of a bucket. So any project we start it up, right? So we try to keep all our resources under the resource group. Okay, let us go and create it out. So how exactly you do it? It's basically, I will say Azure resource group, and I'll say Terraform. So if you touch that, the first one bit, whatever it is there, right? You select that. Okay, this is on the data source. So we the data source, okay, this one is the second one. Azure resource group. Okay, the sample example is given by Azure. Okay, so what you could do is copy this bit, okay, and create another one Terraform file. Okay, so you can name whatever the file name. So I will say rj.tf. It need not be anything. I mean, file name can be anything. I can say Sangam as well. Okay, so sangam.tf. Okay, I will say I'll paste this. Okay, so once you paste this bit, okay, so this is a resource what we have copied. Okay, this is a resource. So as I said earlier, one resource, we are trying to create a Azure resource group, right? So Azure RM, Azure, the Terraform resource what we are using is this one. The resource name in Terraform is Azure resource group. Okay, this one, the name you can give it. Okay, I'll say first RJ. Okay, and then uh, the name of the resource group, what exactly you wanted to create it. Okay, so I will here whatever you wanted to give it, you can give it for your application. I will say WordPress, right? WordPress site. Okay, just again it is just a namesake. I'm creating it. Okay, and the location, in which location this particular resource group has to be created. That is what you need to mention it. Okay, West Europe, let it be there. I don't mind getting it created there. Okay, so now the next command is, in this way you create a resources in Terraform. Okay, you Google it out, go to the documentation. Okay, copy that example it is given, you modify it, and start. When you should be able to start immediately. Okay, so once it has been done, right? So the next command. Okay, let me open up a terminal. See, find a terminal. Yeah. So if you see here in this particular folder, we don't have any other files. Okay, if I do a ls tea, here only provider.tf and sangam.tf, only these two files exist. Okay, now I have coded it. Okay, saying that Azure RM I need to create it. Okay, so this is what it has been coded. Provider configuration it has been made. Okay, let us go and run this bit. The first command, if you remember, it is a Terraform init you need to run. Okay, so what it does is it goes to provider. Okay, so this particular provider, Azure RM, we are given it. Okay, it goes to here and it sees that Terraform provider, what we need to use is Azure RM. It it sees what is the source it has been given, so what is the version. It goes to Terraform registry and pulls this bit. Okay, if you see, let us go and run it now. So let us do Terraform init. So if you see, finding the HashiCorp Azure RM version. Okay, installing Azure RM, whatever the version we have given it. Okay, so if you see here, it says Terraform has been successfully initialized. Okay, if you see here, we have got a .terraform folder and a log file. Okay, so if you go here, you can find what we have told is providers. Okay, registry.terraform.io, where exactly our providers exist. Then HashiCorp. Okay, then our Azure RM. Okay, then version we are given it as a 3.60.0. That is what it has mentioned. And then our code. Okay, Terraform provider. The provider, it has been downloaded to your local laptop. So on your laptop, it has been downloaded. Okay. So what is the use of our log file? If you are running two commands on the same folder, right? Whichever the first it has been run, it will acquire the log. The second one won't be able to run it. Okay. On the same folder, same computer, and all the stuff. Okay. So that it will have a lock, so that deadlock situation should not arise. Okay. So the next command is, so think that you have modified separately, you coded very badly, right? Think that some space, that and all, it is there. Okay. So the next command is Terraform format. Okay. In this way you have coded it. Okay. So what you do is Terraform FMT. Okay. Terraform format. If you do that, if you see sangam.tf, it is modified, it says, and it's beautifully aligned it back, okay, with a proper readable format, okay, proper alignment. So if you do like this, again, you run the Terraform format, will align it back. Okay, it's a one good helping hand. What if you wanted to make your code as a properly readable, right? This command is very useful. Okay, so the next bit is, once it has been done, right? So okay, let me open it in a bigger terminal here, because I can maximize the things. So now next command is Terraform plan. If I run this command, as I said earlier, in our Azure cloud resource group, there are no resource group exists. Okay, no resource group only except this bit. There are no other resource groups. Okay, so if I say Terraform plan now, as per our aspiration, we have to create a Azure resource group. Okay, so that is bit. So if you see here, Terraform plan, what it did was, it said the plus create. Okay, this is what, whenever a new resource has to be created, it will append plus and it says create. Okay, it's nothing but it will go and create it. Here if you see our code, it has been written here, right? It says plan one to add. There is nothing to change, nothing to destroy. Okay, so here what it has done is, our resources, it has mentioned, it says will be created. This particular resource group, it will be created. Okay, so the name, it has shown it. These are all the details. Yes, it has mentioned. Okay, so now if I go and apply this, okay, this is a dry run. Okay, it has not created it. Now you run the Terraform apply. What it will do is, it will go and create a actual resource. So Terraform apply also, what it does is, it will warn you saying that this is what it is going to do it. Okay, it's again a repetition of Terraform plan that it will show. Okay, and it will ask you to enter yes in order to progress further. Okay, if you enter just say other than the yes bit, it will go and cancel it out. Okay, so what you need to mention here is, as is whatever yes you need to enter it. Okay, then only will go and create it. Okay, so if here it says apply complete. Okay, so literally it took 14 seconds. One added, zero changed, zero destroyed. Okay, I say one added, this is what it is. Okay, so we'll go and refresh it here. So if you see WordPress sign, it has been added, and it has been created in a West Europe. That is what we wanted. Right? This is what it has been created. Okay, so now think that you wanted to add a tag. Okay, so in order to add a tag here, okay, it doesn't have, okay, tags there. Okay, so if you wanted to add a tag, okay, tag is basically here, if you see here, in order to identify which resource it is and all, that you try to add it. I'll say tags. Okay, you will say you give a name. I will say environment, env equals, I will say this is my dev. Okay, I will say dev. So if I rerun now, rerun the Terraform plan, okay, Terraform apply, let us do a Terraform apply directly. If you run that, so ideally there is a change. Okay, so if you see, whenever update in, if there is update in place, it will say this tilde symbol. Okay, it says update in place. Okay, so if you see here how you can track it, this is the resource where is the update is changes there, and this is the place. Okay, and the plus symbol meaning we have added a new tag. Okay, if I say go, if I say s, it will go and change it. Okay, so if you see here, 0 to add, 1 to change. 1 to change is this bit, and 0 to destroy. Okay, so if I go and see here, okay, if I do a refresh now, if you see here, nothing is there. Okay, tags are not has been added. Okay, if you see here, env dev, it has been added. Okay, so if you click here, edit, this is the first tag it has been added. Okay, so in this way, you go and create a tags. Okay, so if you wanted to, the next bit is if you wanted to add a variableize it. Okay, you wanted to do think that you wanted to change the name rather than hard coding it, you wanted to add as a variable. Okay, so in that case, what you could do here is just as of now, I will comment it out. Here, variable, I'll say where dot, I'll say rj underscore name. I'm just making it as a variableization. Okay, so after adding it, this kind of a variable doesn't exist. So here there is a one bulb symbol will be there. Click on that and just say add a variable. So automatically this IDE will help us to add it. Okay, I will take this value, I will keep it here. Okay, the next bit is the location. Okay, I will say copy here. I will say where dot, this also I wanted to variableize it. I will say location. Okay, so if you see here, the same bulb button, click on add location, it will be added. Okay, the same thing, what I will do is, rather than a hard coding, I am making it as a variableization now. Okay, I will run Terraform format in order to do a formatting. So if you see nothing, there is not much changes. So it looked fine for it. Okay, so now this one it is referring here. Okay, this is the default value. Location it is referring here, the same value, it's just a variableization I have done it. Okay, so as a next step, I will, if you wanted to check it whether whatever I have done is proper or not, just do a Terraform apply, so that it will show you, that it will check whatever Terraform code infra as a code, what it is there and what is there in the cloud. So if you could see here, it says no changes. Okay, no infrastructure, the infrastructure matches the configuration. Okay, so whatever it is there in the cloud, it matches here. That is the reason it says apply complete. It won't even ask for a prompt, right? Yes or no. Apply complete, 0 to add, 0 changed, and 0 destroyed. Okay, so now let us introduce another variable. Okay, I will say department. Okay, small letter department. I will say HR. Okay, so this is the change now, right? So I will go here and run again apply. Now a change I have made it, right? So let us see what Terraform says it. So if you see the same update in place, the tags plus symbol meaning it has to make the changes. I will say yes. If you see 0 added, 1 changed and 0 destroyed. Okay. So now if you see here, we have done a change here. Okay. So the WordPress site department name it was added. Okay, if you do a refresh, sometimes it reflects bit later, so I will click here. If you see department HR, it was added here. So again I will do a refresh. Okay, I'll go back. Sometimes it is little bit delayed. If you see department HR has been added. Okay, so now as a next step, I wanted to have variabilized it. Okay, so next I wanted to change my default our resource group name. Okay, I wanted to change it. So if you can achieve it by changing here, saying that I wanted site 1 rather instead of a WordPress, I wanted to change it as a site 1. Okay, so if you once you make the changes, if you run the Terraform apply, what it does is, since resource group is the one of the resources, okay, if you change the name or a location, it has to be replaced. Okay, when we say replaced, right, minus plus this kind of a bit it displays, it means it will destroy first and then create a replacement. Okay, because the name or a location, any one of the things it changes, it forces a replacement. Okay, hence plan is 1 to add, 0 to change, 1 to destroy. So let us do that. So once we say yes, it has to go and destroy it. First what it will do is old one. If you see here, destroying the WordPress site 1. Okay, site, and click destroying it. Okay, so let it destroy it, and then yeah. So if you see here, destruction complete after 15 seconds. It is creation complete after 1 second. Okay, it has done the job. Creation complete, WordPress site 1. Okay, so if I go to our Azure here, resource group, so let me do a refresh. If you see, immediately it got changed. Okay, site 1, it has came up. Okay, so now this is how you override it, that is change it. Okay, so now think that you wanted to override this bit. Okay, in actual project, how you override is either passing a variable name. Okay, so I'll say Terraform apply where equals, okay, where this is the RJ name, I wanted to change it, RJ name equals, okay, I will say Sangam instead of Sangam site, I will say, okay, Sangam site. Okay, you need to pass, this is the overriding I am doing it. Okay, minus where RJ name equals Sangam site. Okay, let us see what it does. So rather than we are asking RJ name, resource group name, rather than the default value, I want the Sangam site. Okay, so if you could see here, what it did was the same thing, plus or minus, minus slash plus, meaning destroy and recreate it. So here if you could see name, this was the old one, follow the arrow mark. Okay, this one, it is getting changed to Sangam site. Okay, so if I say yes, it will 1 to add, 0 to change, and 1 to destroy. That is, it is going to do it. Okay, so here we do a overriding. Okay, overriding of our first resource group name. Okay, by passing it as a command line. Okay, that is what we have done it. Okay, so let us see now. So destruction complete. Okay, so we will go to our Azure portal again. I will say refresh. Okay, it is still creating it. Sometimes there is a issue with resource groups. Okay, this particular website, yesterday for 1 hour over the globe itself, it was down. Okay, so let me go to the different place. So if you see, Sangam site has been added, the resource group. Okay, so in this way you can override it. Okay, this is one of the way. Okay, so now think that you wanted to override using a Terraform file. Okay, I will say dev environment. Okay, dev.tf wars file. Okay, so I will say tf war file. I wanted to override this particular variable name rather than passing it in a if you have some hundreds of variables, you can't pass it as one by one in the command line, right? That is the reason we use this bit. Okay, I will say sangam hyphen dev hyphen site. Okay, this is what I wanted to be. My resource group name should be called like this. Okay, in that case, what you do here is we will run the same Terraform apply command by var file. Okay, file. Then I will pass dev.tf4 file. Okay, I'll enter it. So what it will do here is, if you see here, Sangam site is getting changed from Sangam site to Sangam dev site. That is what we have mentioned it over in the tf4 file. Okay, so just once you enter it, it will go and make the changes. Let us go. Okay, so today I don't think so time will permit to do the Kubernetes cluster. So in the tomorrow's session we will do that. Okay, but we have a quick catch-up session. Okay, if you have any questions, right, you immediately we will send it. Okay, you can join in those session. Okay, you can ask any doubts. Okay, so let us if you see, it has been destroyed and recreated. If I go back and check refresh here, Sangam hyphen dev hyphen site, it has been created. Okay, in this way you create a override a variable. Okay, so yeah, so this is what it is. Okay, so in actual projects we will use this kind of a overriding bit. Okay, there are multiple override bits are there. For example, so let me show you how overriding it will happen. So if you could see, these are all the overriding it will happen. Okay, so the variable.tf is the least preferred. Okay, the most preferred is where file and where.file. Okay, so the precedence, it will happen like this. Okay, the variable.tf is the least. Highest privileges precedence, it will happen via /var and /var file. Okay, this is what we use in an actual project. Okay, so we will keep it in a default, whatever the name you want it. If no one is mentioning it out, it will pick it from variable.tf. If not, if you have passed this bit, whatever this file, whatever the data it has been mentioned, right, that is what it will override. Okay, so I will close this bit.